Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Neil and Simpler Futures with Monday's end of day wrap up, March the 20th. It's going to be an interesting week. Going to be a very interesting week. We've got the German zoo econ report Tuesday, the CAD CPI, Canadian CPI. Wednesday, we go into a FOMC rate decision. Thursday, BOE rate decision, and then there's always, of course, the potential for more news, and nobody knows when that could happen. You know, there was more over the weekend, Credit Suisse, and then furthermore, even if you do get news, obviously, as price action has shown today, you don't have any idea what the price response to that news is going to be either, because who would have in mind that you would, get news like that, a 100-plus-year-old bank failure, the size of, and importance really of Credit Suisse, and the as we came in this morning for the cash open on the U.S. session, the Euro Stoxx 50 was up 1.3% in the overnight trade as Europe's market traded while U.S. slept or whatever. The DAX was up almost 1 full percent, and then the S&Ps rally 100 full points off their lows. The low was 38.95. That's the year open, and they closed back up at 39.90. That's 100 points, which is balance, right? Remember the balance. If you take, we've done this before, we've talked about it. If you go to the October low of last year, 3,500 ES, and you snap a line, horizontal line, and look back left to figure how far back do I have to go to include those prices, the answer is November of 2020. So if you start a profile from November of 2020 all the way to present, including all of last Friday's trade and all of today's trade, balance is 39.90 and 95. That's exactly where we are. So 38.95 year open and overnight low, back to 39.90 balance today, while this market lies in wait for what's next. And what's next is German zoo, CAD CPI, U.S. FOMC's rate decision, then the BOE. And the potential, of course, for who knows what else, another bank. But don't be convinced that you necessarily know how price action will react to news like that, because certainly my guess would not have been that it would rally 100 points on that kind of news. All right, so anyway, what you got right here right now is we're at balance, 39.90. All right, so you want to know that. That's not my over-under, though. I'll show you over-under for the week in a minute. It's not 90. It's more like 39.50. But we're at 39.90. Just above, you got the 200 period moving average coming in at about 400, call it 7.8 something. And now I'm going to get this out of the way. We're going to look at the over-under. Okay, so now we're at a toss chart. You can see that heavy red line right there. That's last week's point of control, 39.50. That was last Friday's point of control, and that was last Friday's settlement, and that was today's low. I mean, come on. Okay, so that's over under 39.50, right? Weekly pivot, though, is a little below. Even if it breaks below there, it'll trade 39.30 and bounce, or it would be, if it gets below there, it would be looking for weekly pivot 39.30. So I wouldn't even get wound up about anything, short necessarily. Even if it broke through 39.50 a little bit, you still got a backstop weekly pivot 39.30, and these are all ES prices, okay? So now for targets. Now let's go look for targets. I like the uptick. I like the idea of the uptick. Hey, look, it doesn't matter what I think. I can tell you what I think, but it doesn't matter what I think. We got a lot of news this week. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. I'm going to pick my, direction with a line in the sand and a backup plan for what if it goes down. My read on this is, well, furthermore, if you look at the Stock Traders Almanac, mid-March is bullish, late March is a little soft bearish. Well, that doesn't help us because we're neither mid nor late. This is the week between the two. Last week was the mid, next week is late, this week is the middle between the two, so that doesn't help. So, I mean, if anything, it would tell me look for, either a break that rallies, or more likely, given that information that we know, a rally that then fades and ultimately, comes in and breaks. So I'm going with a bullish read, and I'm looking for target up here of 40, 60, 65 in the SPX. Now, you got to tack on 30, 35 ES on top of that. So we're talking 4100 basically ES to target 40, 65 SPX, because that is that short strike on that call side of that JPM collar trade, right? That's the open interest that you see on the March 31 quarterlies at the SPX. You'll see it like 45,000 times. If you go March quarterly, March 31's SPX, look at 4065, you'll see the open interest there. All right. So that's my look and read on this is up. Line in the sand is 39.50. Just realize and remember, you got weekly pivot just below there. A little volatility could come down and test that weekly pivot and still bounce. So if in the event, that it does trade higher, I've got 39.50 over under, looking for 100 higher still at 40, 60, 65 in the SPX. And what if we're wrong, or what if it's bearish? I don't even want to say wrong, because at this rate, with this much news, it's just either up or down, and you got an over under. So what if it goes down? Then you want ES targets, ES. 3870 and 3800 as bear targets. So I go up here and I look and see what's 62 weeks analyzed and what's probability touch on L2 and close on L2. Touch is 14.5%, close is 6.5%. That's not, especially the L2 at 6.5% that's pretty low probability. Not the kind of thing you want big odds on. So, be it up or down, we shall see. I'm trying to kind of hold this for up into the 4060 SPX, which is like 4100 ES. And if it starts to break down, then as it's trading through 3950 ES on the way down, then I'll start to try to be a little bearish and look for those targets. I just gave you 3870 and 3800 on the down. That's what I got. Let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe we can put our heads together and try to figure this one out together, because sure, if anything, it won't be dull. It won't be boring. Okay. Good trading.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me